Okay, so in today's video we're going to talk about sites that get disapproved through Google Ads or the Google Ads program, specifically for the issue of what they call malicious software. So this is an issue that I see come up a couple different times now. One recently, I'm going to tell you a story about what happened in our agency where I had dealt with this particular issue, what kind of long drawn out process it was for the company it happened to in question, and how you can avoid all those issues, or if you're dealing with it right now and you happen to stumble upon this, upon searching for a solution to this problem, this should basically help you out, get you through it, and just some of the stuff to avoid. The main thing is don't take the thing lightly. As is with a lot more of Google's ad policy violations, they're not so easy to clear up anymore. You have to really pay attention. And as always, Google's never given us from the review department all the information as to what to fix and why. And so it helps to have a few extra little tips, which this video is going to provide you specifically for this issue, but that should be the policy that you apply to any other issue, of course, that you run into. So basically, my goal with this video is to have a way for you to get your ads back on in an hour. Time is money. So we all know, if you're watching this video, you're probably trying to get the answer as quick as possible, want to get online as quick as possible, probably aggravated, frustrated right now. And so, as tempting as it is to just go and try to fix something real quick and submit it, a lot of times it'll get disapproved if you don't do this stuff, which is why I'm going to give you all the information, and then hopefully you'll be able to get through it the first time. So anyway, here we go. So I have a short list of things here, of considerations. First of which is to get to the source of the problem. Find the actual source of why Google is mentioning that to you have an issue with malicious software. Now, the key thing with this is to first of all know is with your landing page, and maybe your site. It could be, or very well could be, just your site, not the landing page or the page that you send users to as a part of your Google Ads that you set up through your Google Ads account. For what it's worth, this could be a false positive. If you don't think you have an issue, you can appeal the decision. Maybe you'll be able to get by, or at least find out from Google what is the actual issue if you can't figure it out. But most of the time, I'd say 80-90% of the time, you probably got a hacked site. And the older your site, the more likely it is to be hacked, because the older the technology you're using, the more time people that hack sites a lot of times they'll put links on there that direct people to some affiliate website or a site that they own, or they'll want a backlink to rank organically in Google, so they'll hack your site and they'll put one little thing. You'll put things on your site that you may not even be able to tell visually by looking at the site, or it's so minuscule you won't be able to tell. But usually you're going to have a hacked site, and you're going to have to do some investigation on your own to be able to figure out where the hack happened, how it happened, and get it fixed. Because Google is not going to provide you all that information on your own. Going into number 2, phone support usually don't work. If you call Google, they're not going to give you as good information. I always recommend people go to their chat and ask them what is the specific issue that if you can't find it, in other words already, that they can guide you as to what malicious code on your site is causing the issue. What they're going to do, unless it's one little piece of code, which it rarely never is, because if someone's hacking their site, they probably just didn't want to put one little thing on there. Sometimes they will, a lot of times they won't. Assume the worst. They'll be able to tell you the type of things that are on there that you can't necessarily see with your eyeballs, but you could if you were a programmer, let's say, and you knew how to view the source code, which you could certainly do on your browser to find stuff. But they'll give you an example. And then with that example, you're going to have to go and figure out how to do this, get rid of all the quote-unquote malicious code yourself on your own. So going into number 3, what that is in old tech speak, it's a footprint. So once you have an idea from Google, through their chat, what it is, an example of the code that they're classifying as malicious and likely was put there by the hacker, if you will, trying to siphon off some trust or authority or traffic off your site, that you'll have to scan your website for other instances or things on your site basically that match that quote-unquote footprint. So they may put it's a backlink that they put to their site on your site, but then it's on multiple pages of your site, and then they recoded it a little bit different way because they may have a backlink to multiple sites, or in any way there's going to be a rhyme to what they did, and so you use the footprint to scan your site for the quote-unquote rhyming part to find other aspects, because what happens is it's hard to find what somebody's got on your site, assuming that you don't restore from scratch from before it got hacked. It's really hard to figure out where all the stuff it's like an Easter egg hunt, trying to figure it all out where it's all at. So going into forward, what you could do is there's good tools out there, site scanner tools that can help you find malicious code on a website. You could take that footprint and you could go and use that tool and scan everything, and then hopefully find all the instances on your site where they put code on your site and get it removed. And that'll be able to, depending on the code, could tell you very quickly within an hour, get that stuff off the site, do a find, replace. Once you see the code, do a find, replace on your source code on your site, delete it, resave the file on your web hosting, you're done. But with all that said, like I said, it's very hard to find all the instances. Just because you have a working footprint of what type of things that somebody did to your site, it also doesn't mean there's not other things that they did. They did multiple things. Again, like I said, it can be on lots of different pages of your site. So going through page by page, which a site scanner tool can go through all the pages of your site, which is part of what it helps you do. They could have did multiple things. They could have took your information and sold it to other people, or they came back more than once if you didn't find what was going on there, and it looks like they were making money from what they did to your site, driving traffic to one of their affiliate sites. So with that, you may try to remove everything that you think you found everything. Then you go to Google and you try to get a reconsideration request going to get your campaigns going. They say, oh, there's more code that we found. Google will find all the code. The site scanner tool sometimes may not, and ultimately what they have is a library of all the types of things that are malicious that they found. Google being, they have all the resources, they can find out, they can create a database of all the stuff that on a hack site, the type of things that are out there. It's always being updated. You may not be able to find all this stuff just by finding what rhymes up after the one thing that they give you. So you have to go into then considering, are you going to just restore your website from before? Not everybody's starting out or doesn't have the tech savviness as other business owners that are like us perhaps, that didn't back up their site. They don't have a restore point on their site that within, we do a 24-hour backup on our site every day. And we go back a month. So when we spot something, we can just go back to the exact date before the hack date that we identify, or just keep going back as far as we need to, restore that snapshot, which I highly recommend that you do to avoid stuff like this. If you got a campaign making you $1 million a year and you have no way to quickly restore it, because that's really the 1 hour solution, to be able to go into your server, check your logs, see when they got in there, restore to the date before that. The way that we have it's 5 minutes. You can restore the whole site to the image the way it was, including the database. Then you go to Google, get back on, boom, you're done. The reconsideration might take more than an hour, but the stuff to get back on line, if it happens to us, is an hour. If you don't have the backup, you're stuck with going and using the footprints and scanning, and ultimately it may be over your head. I had a client who had this problem, and their internal people that they had there at the company, they could only afford to hire so good of a technical person. They weren't good enough. They tried to remove it. We did a reconsideration request for them. They said that there was more code that needed to be removed that was malicious. So they removed code again. And then went back and forth like 3 different times, and I urged them. Main thing is, Google, once they stop trusting your site for like your organic traffic, you're done. you screw around and you try to save money by having your internal person doing it or having a crappy person do it for you, and Google recognizes your site has malicious code on it for long enough, your organic rankings will be gone. So whatever you think you were saving, that $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to have an ace come in and identify how to get rid of it, you're going to lose literally $1 million mistake in the long run once you get de-indexed, if you will. And it doesn't take very much, which is what I told them. Ultimately, this particular client went to GoDaddy and tried to use their services, and I was just like, rolled my eyes, because I know what kind of service you're going to get through GoDaddy. Not to say that they can't offer some good stuff, but for something serious like this, my point is you don't want to screw around. Unless you're 100% sure your internal person, that you're probably paying 6 figures a year just to be able to manage the technical aspects of your website, go to a professional web development firm, hire them and get it handled. You may be able to do this stuff yourself, but if you get stuck, you resubmit your site, you get disapproved, I would say just go right for the expert and tell them you're willing to pay premium prices to get it fixed and get in front of the line, because again, if you wait too long, your campaigns may be there once you get it all fixed. Well, that's another thing, but your organic rankings will be gone. Of course, there's a liability issue with the people that your site's been compromised, people that pay for stuff on your site or leave their information or whatever. Their information can get compromised. You're leaving yourself wide open for lawsuits. Your PPC campaigns, anytime a campaign's off for more than a week, you're going to lose most of the momentum of your campaign, and then the machine learning algorithm that determines where ads should be shown up for what keywords, when, or what audiences, what demographics and so forth, that they use machine learning to figure out where it should be placed and to get you into the most competitive auctions where the most profits made. You may have made $1 million a year from your campaign as is, but you leave your campaigns offline for a month, going back and forth trying to cheat with a cheap solution. Well, now your campaign only makes $500 grand a year or $300 grand a year. It's really that serious. This is not an embellishment. So I would, me personally, just restore, don't screw around. Even if you have some data you're going to lose, you have the site hacked, restore. If you can't, use the footprints, use the site scanner tools to figure out how to get past it. If you can't make that work, go to a professional who really does this, specializes in this, does this day in and day out. Because that's the type of person you need to handle an issue like this, where it's literally a grab bag of potential issues wrong with your site, and your whole business maybe just resting on you can't take a hit, 50% drop in revenue with your overhead. You can't really risk this. But anyway, once you get your site back online, this should be obvious, but just to say it again, change your passwords and then identify what it is that they did to get, in the first place. And going back to the start of my video, older CMS or content management systems like Joomla or Drupal, and not so much that, but like older plugins that have been around for a long time, like on a WordPress site that are not serviced, that are updated every 6 months to a year. Those plugins, someone will figure out how to crack that plugin, get into your site that way, or do if your site's not coded very good or using old technology, people will figure out how to do that to one site like yours and then scan for other sites like yours. When they find your site, they have a turnkey way to get in. A lot of people use SQL injection attacks, where they could go and they can insert data on your form, and then from there they can get stuff in your database. I won't go into all the different technical aspects, but there's a number of ways people can get it other than just having the password. Of course, if an old employee that quit, or something that I've seen people happen to people is you gave an employee a login, they're working from home, they were looking up naughty stuff on their computer, their computer got compromised, therefore your passwords on their computer got compromised if you're not using VPN or something like that. So there's a number of different ways that you have to consider. Once you get it back online, that's just half of the solution. You got to figure out how that got in. change your passwords. That's instant by default, no matter how much trouble that's going to be to inconvenience the rest of your staff. And then use the expert, or go in then if you haven't hired an expert yet, to figure out what it is the weakness is on the site. Could be a plugin, and this might take a security team. Or your other solution, which I recommend if your site's old, you haven't updated it for 6, 7, 8, 10 years, just build another website. Monitor your site, spend 8 weeks rebuilding it to the most modern standards, and then getting it back up. If that's not an option, obviously you could spend money with the experts to figure out where the holes are at, but even that, unless you get a really, really good expert, they're not going to be trained well enough. You might have to go to a specialized security company to find out where the hole is. And if you don't find out where the hole is, it's just a problem waiting to happen again. They're going to come back in, they're going to do it again, you have to go right back through this, and it's more money lost. So you can take all the shortcuts you want. It's just like gambling though. The more shortcuts you take, the more risk there is. So, but for certain, the main reason why you update your site all the time is to make sure it's up to the most current standards. Everything, all the coding you're using is updated on a regular basis. Your website's using new technology in that all the hackers that are trying to go, like the type of people that go around to multiple sites and find how to hack a certain plugin or so on and so forth, a certain technology that is used on a website, and then scan all the sites on the web for people who also have it as well, to also put their link on those websites as well, because they automate that process. They're not going to be able to do it on a site that's updated for the most part, because that technology is new. And they haven't figured out how to crack it yet. And when one person figures out how to crack a plugin, that information gets shared around, and then you have multiple people trying to scan and look for sites like yours that are vulnerable. That's kind of how all this works and is tied in. So, I see a lot of people, they take shortcuts on this kind of stuff with their business, because it's expensive to hire IT experts or security experts to do this stuff, and lose their entire business. Don't be a statistic, I guess is all I can say, but this is the way that you go ahead and fix it. Hopefully you can restore your site. If not, you'll be able to go through with the chat support and with somebody you know and trust to find out how to use the information Google gives you. Just go ahead, and the site scanner tools to quickly find out what's on there, remove it, and then find the security hole, patch it, and you're good to go. But that's a bigger issue than people make it out to be and realize it is, and why I made this video here. I have lots of other videos like this, more so on the marketing side, but also lots of other pitfalls, if you will, covered it on my channel. Go ahead and check those out. I appreciate your time watching my video today, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like more in-depth information about running PPC campaigns just like this one.